And that's the end of the match. The West Indies have won this test match by 408 runs, the biggest victory in any test between the two countries, and they have won the series by 2-0. The first time any West Indian team has won a test series in Australia. 38 minutes into this fifth day, the West Indies have concluded what will be a satisfying victory for them, and this is how they did it.
Michael Holding capturing his 4th wicket of the innings, bowling Len Pascoe to wrap up what great victory for the West Indies. With Richards there just trying to kick the ball away, but full credit to Clive Lloyd and his men that played the Australians, and tremendous bunch of cricketers, great bunch of fellows, liked by all Australians, play cricket in the right fashion, get on with the game, and certainly their fast bowlers and the batting of Gordon Greenidge and Viv Richards have thrilled crowds right around Australia this summer, and it's been a tremendous series. And as Clive Lloyd walks up that aisle, I'm sure he's very satisfied indeed.
That's it then, 165 all out the Australians, and the biggest ever victory for West Indies over Australia, 408 runs, a massive margin that, and well deserved by Clive Lloyd's team, who have played so well. Rodney Marsh remained not out there, but the story of the morning is with the West Indian bowlers and how well they bowled. Andy Roberts, 15 overs, 5 maidens, 2 for 30. Michael Holding, 13 overs, 2 maidens, 4 for 40. Joel Garner, 11 overs, 3 maidens, 2 for 39. And Colin Croft, 11 overs, 1 maiden, 2 for 47. A tremendous performance by those 4. As they say in the West Indies team, why do you need to play a spinner when you have 4 pace bowlers who can do the job for you in that regard? Well, after the match, the presentations were made to the winning captain, Clive Lloyd, and the losing skipper, Greg Chappell. Here's Tony Greig with them now.
Clive, is this your greatest moment?
I would think one of the greatest moments, really, because I would think the World Cup, winning it for the first time, was a tremendous achievement. This too got, you know, a bit of pride in winning this, and I think that the team too has been wanting to hold this trophy for some while, actually, and I'm proud to be leader of them. And you know, they're a wonderful bunch of fellas, and I'm glad for them too, actually.
What is the key to this side of yours? I mean, there are lots of great players, and what do you think really has been the key to the tremendous way in which you've won this series, the first time you've ever won in Australia?
I think Greg summed it up pretty well the other day when he made a statement in the press saying that somebody was saying, well, you're looking to get Vivian Richards out. He said, well, we might get Vivian Richards out and somebody else might come and make some runs or get wickets. So, you know, it's a combination of the team, I suppose. We've got quite a few magnificent players, great ones, and, you know, and they play well as a team. You know, we've molded ourselves into a very fine unit in the last couple of years, and they're more professional in their outlook.
Obviously, we would like to have done better, but we were in a situation, particularly in the second innings, where we knew we couldn't win the game, we couldn't win the series, we couldn't even save the series. Very hard to really get fired up in a situation like that. So, you know, I would have hoped that had the situation been different, we would have played better, and certainly in the second innings anyway.
The awards for the man of the match went to Clive Lloyd, for the man of the series to Vivian Richards, and that's another one for this great batsman. He was also man of the series in the Benson Hedges World Series Cup games, those limited over fixtures where the West Indies won the best of 3 finals. Well, there's always argument about what constitutes a great cricket team, whether the 1948 side was the greatest ever known in the history of the game, whether the 1921 side could match it. But this West Indian team out here in Australia this year will take some beating, I can tell you. It stacks up against anything I've ever seen. Certainly it compares more than favourably, in my opinion, with the West Indian side of 1960-61, that tied test series, and who better to talk to us about that than Tony Cozier.
Well, I think first of all, one has to say that they were very great teams, whereas the 1979-80 team has the emphasis very much on fast bowling. I think, as you can see there, the 1960-61 team had only one great fast bowler, and that was Wes Hall in it. And Wes Hall had to carry a lot of work during that series. Chester Watson, who was a pretty quick bowler himself, played in only one test in that series, and the result was that even though Wes Hall created quite an impression in the first 2 or 3 test matches, he tended to go downhill afterwards, and I think he got something like 18 wickets in the first 2.5 test matches, and then after that got no more than 5 or 6. I would say there that the comparison with the batting is just about even. Jerry Alexander, of course, late in the order there, had a tremendous series in 1960-61. I would swap one of those fast bowlers on the right-hand side, 79-80, don't ask me which one, for either Lance Gibbs or Valentine from the 1960-61 series, and I reckon you'd have a perfect attack.
What about putting Watson in the side and perhaps pushing Frank Worrell up the list? You could leave out Cammy Smith from that side, I suppose.
I suppose you could, and he was left out on one occasion in that series. Hunt, Canhai, Sobers opening the batting with Solomon. That would have been a tremendous team. But I think one also has to say that the 1960-61 team, which lost here 2-1, was playing against a stronger Australian team, not wanting to embarrass you in any way, than this one here.
You won't embarrass me, you'll make me feel good, but, well, I think perhaps stronger in batting. We had a batting side that went right down the list there. Davidson used to come in at 7, I came in at 8, and Kenny Mackay at 9, and Wally Grout at 10, so it was a pretty good batting side, and I think that is a weakness in the present Australian side.
Yes, as has been shown by the scores in this series.
Let's just come back to that 60-61 side again for a moment. I think it's fair to say that one of the reasons Chester Watson couldn't play in all the matches was that Frank Worrell had to play. He was skipper, and therefore he took the new ball. There was no other place for him to play other than batsman and new ball bowler, and therefore there was no place for Watson.
I would say 60-61, if Clive Lloyd was the captain of that team, he would have had Chester Watson in the side. I think nowadays the emphasis seems to be so much on pace that he would have opted to have left out one of those spinners, great as they were, Gibbs and Valentine, and to have given Wes Hall the opportunity of having someone at the other end who was pretty quick, and you know, I think Hall would have appreciated someone like Watson at the other end.
It must be a strength too that those 4 fast bowlers in this current side are all different types.
That's right, tremendous variety there. You've got Michael Holding, who glides so beautifully in and relies on pace and accuracy. The variation of Andy Roberts, then Big Joel Garner coming at you from a height of about 10 feet, or what seems like 10 feet. And then, of course, Colin Croft, who is the most interesting of the lot, I think, in this series, has had a tremendous series, and he's the 4th of the fast bowlers, and he has been in there with them and getting the wickets all the way through. I think with 4 fast bowlers there, that Clive Lloyd has worked them so well, has spread the workload between them all the way through the series. And I haven't looked at it, I haven't got the statistics at my fingers, but I would imagine that there wouldn't have been more than 20 overs between the 4 of them over the 3 test matches in this series.
2 questions. I know what my answers are, but we'll come back to that a little later on. Which was the better of those 2 sides, and which side would you prefer to play against?
Well, I think on both scores, I would have to say that the 1978-79 team would have been better, and I think that most opponents would rather play against the 1960-61 side, try to get off Wes Hall as quickly as possible, and then, of course, it's plain sailing as far as batting is concerned. When I say plain sailing, I mean against the fast bowling, of course.
It's a relative thing, yeah.
This one, of course, there was no such thing. You were always under pressure. There was always pace coming at you, and always fresh pace.
Thank you, Tony. Well, you'll have to make up your own minds about the worth of this West Indian side, but you certainly have 2 men here who think that it's the greatest side from the Caribbean ever to come to Australia. After the match, I spoke with the 2 captains. First of all, the losing skipper, Greg Chappell. Greg, how good do you rate this West Indies side?
I'd say they're definitely the best West Indian side that I've played against, Rich. I'd go so far as to say that they're probably the best team that I've played against in Test cricket.
Is that simply because of the pace bowling or the all-round strength?
I think the all-round strength, the pace bowling obviously is very important to their side. The fact that they've got 4 quick bowlers of that ability, but backed up with their fielding, the fact that they're able to keep the fieldsmen in the catching positions for the best part of the day in attacking positions. And their batting, I think, you know, a lot of people have talked about what Viv Richards has done this season. He's played magnificently. You know, I don't think anyone could play much better than he's played this season. But you get rid of a player like that, and you've got the likes of Gordon Greenidge. Desmond Haynes hasn't had a great season, but he and Gordon have got them away to a good start most times, which obviously helps Viv in his job. But then Alvin Kalachurran, almost an unnoticed player in the West Indian side, different sort of West Indian player from the other guys. He's not the aggressive, hard-hitting player, but a very, very talented batsman. Lawrence Rowe, similar sort of player, more of a touch player than some of the other guys, and then of course Clive, who finished up in this Test match in Adelaide, playing so very well.
What about the difficulty in facing a pace attack, four-man strong anyway, but such a varied style?
Yes, they're all different. I suppose Michael Holding is the only one that you would consider that's got the classical orthodox sort of action. The others are a bit different. Andy's a bit different. He's a bowler of he uses the back shoulder. It's all sort of arm and shoulder in the delivery stride. Colin Croft, of course, is a little bit different again, where he gets very open and very wide, comes in from a very wide angle. And then Joel Garner, so tall, very accurate, gets a tremendous amount of bounce. I think Australia would probably, without having spoken to him about it and asked him the question, I would have thought that Australia would be the place that he would enjoy bowling more than anywhere else.
What about the difference in success for Australia in the limited over and Test matches this year? You've knocked off England 2-0. Both games were reasonably close, but you beat them conclusively in the end. And yet you've gone down to the West Indies 2-0, and in the limited overs, England did you again, but you were up with the West Indies.
Yeah, we haven't played consistently well enough throughout the season. You know, the only two games I suppose you could pinpoint would be the two Test matches against England, where they have been very close games, and I think we've played particularly well under pressure in those games. We've done well. The one-day games, 3 wins out of 4 against the West Indians was a very good effort. We should have beaten England on at least 2 occasions, and I think more than anything else, whilst you can look at our batting and you can look at our bowling, I think the thing that's let us down as much as anything else throughout the summer has been our fielding. And I think in the 2 close games that we had with England, we could well have won those, batting and bowling as we did, had we fielded better.
What about the Test on Friday against England? You're 2-0 in the series, but I've known these final Test matches, even when the series is decided, to be wonderful games of cricket and a lot of pressure on the players for a variety of reasons. Yes,
everybody has got a different reason to want to do well. Obviously, the England side will be very keen to win the last Test match. You know, we obviously, on the other hand, would be very keen to win it. In the quickest way we can forget about the fact that the West Indians have beaten us in the Test series this summer is to beat England again on Friday and win that series 3-0. But certainly, if we walk away from that series having won it 2-0, I think we can be very happy with with the season. We've been beaten by the West Indians, but I don't think that it's any disgrace to have been beaten by a side like that.